Hi everybody, welcome. It's Tuesday and you're in the kitchen with Evey. And today we are going to be cooking my pumpkin crunch cookies. And as you can see, I can't help but snitch at them. Here they are. Today we're going to be making our cookies with eggs. But there is a vegan version that you can use, and you can check out the printed recipe that's at my website to see how to do that, how to make flax eggs instead of the regular eggs. But you'll see here, I have the eggs, the cookies made with eggs, and these here that are made in a vegan style. What's nice about this recipe, if you cook them with the eggs and you bake them, they're kind of have a cake-like consistency. The crunch comes from all the nuts and seeds that are in them. Oops, just had to eat that. But if you do a vegan version, you can put them in a dehydrator and they come out nice and crispy as well as crunchy. Something to keep in mind, but as I'm chewing here, so this is a great recipe. It's using all of these nice fall foods, pumpkins, and it features pepitas or pumpkin seeds. Pepitas not only taste delicious, but they're really, really good for us. They're one of those anti-aging foods. They contain a lot of the omega-3 and 6 fatty acids that are great for our skin, along with zinc and tryptophan, which are great for elevating our mood and actually helping us sleep. Magnesium as well. So all good things to look for when you're looking to snack on something, a little bit healthier. In fact, these cookies are so healthy that you can have them for breakfast. And I've been known to do that. I'll crumble them on top of my oatmeal or on top of some almond yogurt. So I heated up my oven to 350 degrees. So that is now coming up to temperature. I've also have two trays here. These are actually jelly roll pans, but you could use a cookie sheet as well. And I have them lined with my tray liners. You can use a silicone pad. You can use parchment paper as well. So those are all ready. We just need to get the ingredients together to put them on our trays. So this is the recipe I'm using. It came from my website. I'm going to be better about trying to get those recipes onto my website, so as soon as this is done, you can migrate over there and have everything written down and handy for you. But for now, we're going to start with pumpkin. Again, rich in vitamin A, which is a vitamin. It's very good for us. Helps with eyesight and skin as well. I like to get the pumpkin organic. This brand is from Trader Joe's. And I'm going to measure out a half cup of this pumpkin puree. By the way, if you don't have pumpkin puree, but you have pureed sweet potatoes or butternut squash, you can use that as well. They work equally well for this recipe. All right, so I have my half cup now of my pumpkin puree. To this, I'm going to add in a quarter cup of melted coconut oil. I like the coconut oil because when it cools, it solidifies again. So I'm going to use, and that helps with the consistency of the cracker. So let me grab my, here we go, measuring cup. So I did melt this. So when you have coconut oil, it is solid. Let's see if you can see. I can tip this over. It's not, that's because of the saturated fats that are in it. When it is melted, you're able to pour it just like so. So I'm going to add in my quarter cup of coconut oil. And to that, I'm going to add a little bit of sweetness in the form of some local honey. So I'm putting in a 1/4 cup of honey as well. Now, I've made this with less, and it comes out great. So 1/4 cup is about 4 tablespoons. I've made it with, usually make it with about 3 tablespoons. I'm making it with a little bit more here, just because I know that sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of sweetness. 1 minute. You're probably wondering what I just did. I just wanted to clean off my camera a little bit. All right. So I added in my 1/4 cup of honey, and to that I'm going to add in 2 large eggs. All right, and before I beat that up, well, you know what? Let's start getting that mixed together. So I'm just using a whisk here, and I'm just going to mix together these wet ingredients. When baking, it's nice to mix your wet ingredients together and then your dry. All right. So I have this all added together. Now I want to add in 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. So pumpkin pie spice is a blend of spices, usually cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice. Let's see what else might be in this one. Here we go. Cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, all in here. I'm going to put it in a tablespoon because I know this spice mix. If you have a very strong spice mix, you might want to add a little bit less. I know that this one for a fact is not very strong. Maybe it's been in my pantry a little bit too long. I don't know. But mixing it all up here. And again, too, spices can be anti-aging and anti-inflammatory. Cinnamon is fabulous, a fabulous anti-inflammatory spice. So adding to the goodness of this snack. And I'm going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of just regular sea salt. I have Himalayan sea salt here. Just add that in. All right, show you what we have here. Very thin. Now, I'm just going to set that aside for a moment and measure out my dry ingredients. So, to my other bowl, I'm going to add in 2 cups of chopped nuts. What chopped nuts? Depends on what you have at your house, right? I like to use pecans or walnuts along with almonds. Almonds have that nice crunch when you bake with them. The walnuts and pecans have a very distinctive flavor. Today I'm also going to add in some raw sunflower seeds because I love the flavor of those. Each one has its own variety of nutrients, right? Remember how I talk about how variety is so important for getting in the nutrients that we need. And let's see, let me grab a 1 cup measure. So what I did, I chopped up my almonds earlier. I just put them into my food processor and pulsed them for a few minutes. This is probably about 3/4 of a cup of almonds. This here is a mixture, because I had a few pecans left, and some walnuts. So I have 1 cup there. This actually is not as much as I thought. What I need is, I need 2 cups final. So, what I'm going to do, I have a 1/2 cup of my sunflower seeds here. I'm going to grab a little bit more of my ground up almonds. These are a little bit more finely ground, but it's going to be fine. And I'm just going to add that to my second cup so that I have 2 cups total of my nuts mixture. You could add hazelnuts to this. You could add, we have the seeds that we're adding. Cashews would be fine as well. All right. So here I have my 2 cups of mixed seeds and nuts. And I'm going to add in an additional ½ cup of pumpkin seeds. That will add to that pumpkin-y flavor. Let's see, where did I put my ½ cup measure? There we go. Now, these are all raw nuts, not roasted. They'll get roasted in a way when we're cooking them in our cookie. All right. So I've added now in my pumpkin seeds. I want to add in some sweetness. So these are actually tangy because they're actually dried cranberries. So I like to dry my own cranberries, as you can see here. When you dry your own cranberries, they're not sweet like the craisins that you get. Craisins are coated with sugar on the outside. So I like to do these. They give a real tart tang to it. If you'd like a little bit more sweetness, you can certainly add some raisins. You can do a combination of raisins and cranberry. But I want to add in a ½ cup of my dried cranberries. And these just actually came from a bag of cranberries that I had in the freezer. And I thought, oh, that'll be great to add into the recipe. All right. Got to add as much as I can of that. I also had this great way to store and save fruit if you see that you're not going to be using it. This was some cut up pineapple that I had in the refrigerator. So while I was drying my cranberries, I threw those in as well. They make a wonderful snack as well if you're looking for a little sweet treat. And what I'm going to save for later is a little bit of chocolate. So I didn't have any dark chocolate chips, but what I do have is the rest of a 85% dark chocolate bar. I'm going to chop that up and add that in as well. But first, I want to add my liquid into that nut mixture and fruit mixture that I have here. All right. Just going to mix that in together. Oh, this is looking so good. Let's see. I'm using this whisk, which is not the best utensil for this. Let's get this cleaned up. Let me just get these. The nuts get caught in the whisk. All right. Let me just grab a spatula instead. All right. Proper tool for the job. All right. So what you'll see is you have fairly thin batter. Lots of good flavorful nuts and seeds and fruit in it. I'm going to grab that, what's left of this chocolate bar. There's not much in it, but ideally, if you could get quarter to a ½ cup, that would be great. I probably have about a tablespoon here, but that's okay. Just add enough for a little bit of flavor. And I'm just going to use my knife here and roughly chop it into what would be about the size of little mini chocolate chips. Here. Let me show you how I chopped it up. Just like so. All right, I'm going to add those in. So this is just a way, you know, when I'm in my kitchen and maybe I don't have the right ingredient, I improvise. So doing that with the chocolate was just that. You know, it's always an adventure. So I'm hoping you get to try these because they really are a great way to get a snack, kind of curb a little bit of sweet craving if you have it, with a lot of natural goodness in it. A lot of fiber, which is also very good for us. Good for keeping inflammation down. Fiber helps balance any sugar that comes from the ingredients that we're adding here. All right, let me show you what we have here. Our finished batter. All right, let's move things out of the way. And then I'm going to grab one of my trays here and a tablespoon. All right. And then I'm just going to take about a tablespoon. I don't like my cookies really big. I find too with this batter, if you make them smaller, they tend to cook evenly, more evenly. And what I do with this is just lightly press down on the mound that I put on the tray, just flatten it out. They won't puff up the way some cookies might. They will stay pretty much the size that you make them. They won't spread that far either. So I find I can get maybe about 10 to 12 on a tray. I'll probably try to get more on. This recipe will make about 3 dozen, so I will have to reuse my trays to cook all the batter. What I might do in the meantime is just put the batter in the refrigerator while the rest of the batter is cooking. All right. So I'm going to put these in for 20 minutes at 350. That seems to be a good time, depending on what your oven is and how big you make your cookies. I'll show you the size of these. Depending on the size and the heat of your oven, you determine when they are done. But you want it so that the centers are firm, all right, and that the outsides aren't burnt yet. I'm going to put these in to the oven and set my timer for 20 minutes. All right. Now, normally if I was doing one of my cooking programs, we'd go on to do something else and pull those out after 20 minutes. But since this is an abbreviated cooking class, I'll just bring back those cookies once again and show you. So what we made here today are these. And if you make it the vegan way, they look like this. So many of you might wonder how you do a vegan cookie if you're not using the eggs. You can make a flax egg. Very simple to do. And I might do a video on it because it's just so simple. Maybe after this I'll show it, whip one up. But basically you put 1 tablespoon of ground flax together with 3 tablespoons of warm water and mix it up. You can add 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking powder if you'd like to give it a little bit more rising power, but you let it sit. So you would do that first before you started putting together your wet ingredients. Put that together and let it sit. As it sits, it will thicken up. So you would need to do, that's 1 egg. 1 tablespoon to 3 tablespoons is 1 egg. So you'd have to double that because there's 2 eggs in this recipe. But the end result is something like this. You can see there's a little bit of a difference in the thickness between the two. And as I said, this will retain more of a cakey feel. Whereas what I did with these is I baked them. They were still a little bit soft. So I put them into my dehydrator for a few hours. And they came out nice and crunchy. I can't stop eating them. All right. So there you have it. A great cookie. Either way you make it, with eggs or vegan style. Debbie, it's great to see you. So glad you joined me. Anybody else, please just chime in, say hi. Love hearing from you. Would love to hear if you make the recipe. Head on over to eveyschweig.com under my recipe tab, under desserts, and you'll find this pumpkin crunch cookie. Let me know if you make it. Would love to hear from you. So until then, until next week, I will see you. Eat well, stay well, and I will see you then. Take care now. Bye-bye.